My best friend, who has been a dink all her life, envied me for having both a son and a daughter at the age of 60. She wanted my son to take care of her in her old age. But when my son refused, she blamed me for it all. She completely forgot the joy of not having children when she was young, and blamed me, saying that if you had not supported me in being a dink, I would definitely have both a son and a daughter now. She became more and more resentful of me. After she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, she was so crazy that she dragged me to jump into the river. When I opened my eyes again, we were back to the age of 25. This time she gave up the idea of being a dink and wanted to have 5 children. The cold river water enveloped me from all sides. The feeling of suffocation made me gradually lose consciousness. When I opened my eyes again, I found that the scene around me was the dormitory I lived in when I was young. I looked at the mirror opposite and was stunned. My face in the mirror was ruddy, very different from the old look 35 years later. I was actually reborn, and tears flowed unconsciously. It's great that I haven't got cervical spondylosis from endless laundry and housework, and I haven't got a head full of white hair from taking care of the children. Suddenly I thought of Zhao Xiaoming, who pulled me to jump into the river. I suddenly looked at the bed opposite and found that she was also staring at herself in the mirror like me. In the last life, at the age of 25, Zhao Xiaoming and I embarked on 2 different life paths. I listened to my family's arrangements to marry Sun Jun, whom I met through a blind date, and had 2 children in 3 years. Zhao Xiaoming fell in love freely and met her boyfriend, who returned from abroad. The 2 of us were avant-garde in thinking and hit it off. We didn't want children, so we started a dink life. After marriage, my contact with Zhao Xiaoming gradually decreased. When I was at home taking care of the children day and night, she and her husband traveled around the country. When my mother-in-law and I quarreled over the children, she raised 2 cats and a dog, and lived an easy and comfortable life. 20 years passed like this. I sent my son and daughter to college, and I finally breathed a sigh of relief. But because of all these years of hard work, I look a few years older than my peers. Zhao Xiaoming, except for some traces of time left in the corners of her eyes, the rest of her looks are still the same as when she was young. So, when I met her in the market, I almost didn't recognize her. Zhao Xiaoming's husband passed away due to illness. After her husband died, she returned to her hometown alone. After meeting me, she moved next door to my house, saying that she wanted to have a companion. Later, my children all graduated from college. My son had no future and came back to rely on his parents. My daughter was rebellious and insisted on marrying a gangster. Every time they came home, they made a big fuss, but in Zhao Xiaoming's eyes, all this became family happiness. She often sighed and said to me, "I really envy you. You have both a son and a daughter, and your home is so lively. You are not alone like me." At this time, I would advise her to think about the happiness of her youth, but my advice was useless to her. Instead, her desire for children became more and more intense, and she even set her sights on my son, wanting me to take care of him in his old age and see him to the end. My son doesn't even want to support me, so how can I support him? After being rejected, he happened to meet him and was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. In the end, he actually blamed it all on me, and madly pulled me to jump into the river together. Ji Shuang, I won't make the same mistake again. Just watch. I also want to have both a son and a daughter and enjoy the happiness of family. Zhao Xiaoming stood in front of me with her hands on her hips. I was a little envious. As expected of someone who has never given birth, her mentality is young. She has lived for 60 years, but she can still act like a little girl. Seeing me in a daze, Zhao Xiaoming frowned and pushed me. "Don't think that you are better than me because you lived a happy life in your last life. I will give birth to 5 babies in this life to make you envious." I was shocked by the 5 babies he mentioned. Giving birth is not like a sow giving birth to 1 litter at a time. Besides, in my last life I almost died of exhaustion from pulling the babies. But I did not discourage his ambition. I laughed. "Don't you know that giving birth to a child does not only depend on the woman, but also on the man's physical condition? Can you be sure that your husband in your last life was in good health?" Zhao Xiaoming was stunned. He really didn't expect this. In his last life, her husband had a vasectomy after getting married, and there was no way to check his health. I pretended to regret and sighed. "It seems that your dream of having a baby cannot come true. It's because Sun Jun is in good health. In his last life, if I hadn't had the IUD, we could have continued to have children." She said I would have given birth to 5 children in this lifetime. Zhao Xiaoming stared at me with an ugly expression. At that moment, my cell phone rang. It was my aunt's voice on the other end of the line. She told me happily that she would introduce me to a good man. I sneered in my heart. After I married Sun Jun in my previous life, I realized that not a word my aunt said was true. My aunt's cousin was arrested for fighting. Sun Jun's father happened to work in the police cafeteria. My aunt asked his father to send a gift to my cousin. I gave him a lot of food and said some nice things to make my cousin suffer less in the bureau. After my cousin got out, he returned me to Sun Jun's family as a favor. The aunt on the other end of the phone was still talking, and I deliberately agreed loudly, "Okay, then let's meet. I know his name is Sun Jun, so I'll write down his phone number." After hanging up the phone, Zhao Xiaoming was still staring at me. I threw the paper on which I had written down Sun Jun's phone number on the table and said to Zhao Xiaoming, "Let's keep our distance from each other in the future. I'm going to find the manager to change dormitories and talk to the manager now." After negotiating with the manager, I went back to pack my luggage. I didn't know where Zhao Xiaoming had gone, and what disappeared with him was the piece of paper on the table with Sun Jun's phone number. Zhao Xiaoming and I were classmates. After graduating from junior college, we both entered this electronics factory. In this era, technology is not so developed, and various high-end professions are not popularized here. Working in the electronics factory is not bad. After moving to the dormitory in the afternoon, I didn't expect the manager to find me again. He asked me if I had a conflict with Zhao Xiaoming. Why did Zhao Xiaoming find him in the afternoon and say that she wanted to resign? I shook my head and couldn't explain it clearly. The manager didn't ask any more questions. In her previous life, Zhao Xiaoming didn't work for many years and was supported by her husband. She was reborn in this life. Asking him, a person who has been pampered for so many years, to screw in screws, he definitely can't do it. By the way, Shuang, pay attention at work recently. Several cooperative units will come to the factory to inspect. You talk to the people below and tell them to behave well during work, in case you ruin the factory's cooperative projects. Then I couldn't stay there any longer. When I turned around to leave, the manager held me back and whispered something to me. I nodded, but my thoughts had already drifted away. I remember such an incident in my previous life. I remember it so clearly because the person who was instructed by the manager in my previous life was Zhao Xiaoming, but he not only didn't tell us, but instead used the excuse that he was not feeling well and asked our entire group to ask for leave for him and send him to the hospital. While we were leaving as a group and busy calling a taxi to contact the hospital for him, he quietly slipped back to the workshop when we weren't noticing. That time, because of his action, our entire group except him was expelled. We explained the reasons, but they were not accepted by the factory. Without a job and a source of income, and with my family urging us to hurry up, I had no choice but to have a hasty blind date and get married quickly. During this inspection, because of his seriousness, he was recommended by the manager. He changed from a worker to a white-collar worker, responsible for connecting with the inspection project team, and at the same time got to know him. My husband returned from studying abroad. Our lives have been divided into two paths since then. We have thought that this was planned by Zhao Xiaoming, but when he cried in front of us with snot and tears, we all believed it. It was just a coincidence and we were just unlucky. This time Zhao Xiaoming resigned, and he didn't bother to play tricks on us anymore. I really want to see if we are still so unlucky. Girls in Group 1, come on, the manager said that there will be leaders coming to inspect during this period. Let's cheer up and operate in accordance with the regulations. I entered the workshop, called all the team members over, and reminded them of the precautions one by one. Everyone said they understood. In a blink of an eye, the day of the inspection arrived. When the leader of the examination room team stepped in, I happened to pass by them with a datasheet. "Hey, little comrade, what are you looking at?" Sure enough, the leader stopped me. I pretended not to know who they were and asked them to leave seriously. "This is the operation workshop. Unrelated personnel, please leave, otherwise I will call the security guard." Our manager squeezed in from behind the crowd, smiled and apologized to the leader. "I'm sorry, little girl Zhang is ignorant. Don't be angry." The man called Zhang was not angry, pointing at me and smiling. "Manager Wang, this young comrade is good and very responsible at work. How about this, we just happened to come for an inspection and lack a professional to explain. Why don't we ask him to help us explain what operations are in the workshop? Okay, Xiao Ji will lead the team for Zhang, explain it well, and quickly hand over the data in my hand to the other team members." I took a deep breath and made a leading gesture to the inspection team. "Okay, let me explain to you next." During the period, Zhang proposed a lot of professional knowledge which I explained simply and clearly. With decades of work experience, I can answer those questions even if I fall asleep. From the smile on Zhang's face and Manager Wang's constant nodding, it can be seen from my performance that it is very good. What is the name of this young comrade? He is very professional at a young age. Will he also be responsible for the subsequent docking work? Yes, take over. Xiao Ji will also be involved in the upcoming docking work, Mr. Zhang, don't worry. When I followed the large team out of the workshop, the breeze blew across the corners of my mouth, and I unconsciously blew it up. It's great that I am the one who seized the opportunity this time. Whoever wants to get married can get married. I need to make money. After that, I devoted myself to busy work and study. I am familiar with the work in the workshop, but some of the work content in the office is a bit unfamiliar. In order to make up for the gap with my colleagues, I follow up on the project progress with my colleagues in the project team during the day. At night, I will continue to check information, look through previous project files, and enrich my knowledge reserves. I can't just participate in this project this time. I want to stay and move up step by step. When I was busy, a call from my aunt came over. Shuang. Have you met that young man, Sun Jun? I tilted my head and held the phone, and my hands were still entering project information. Not yet. Isn't the factory busy recently? There is no time to meet. Waiting for you, what are you busy about? You are just a screwdriver in a workshop. What do you have to be busy about? You are 25, an old maid with low education and bad job. If you don't hurry up and seize the opportunity to get married and have a baby, what will you do when you are old? The Sun Jun family is a public family after all. So stable. Lots of girls are rushing to marry them. If you miss this opportunity, you will miss it forever. It's not my aunt. I really can't get away recently. I won't say more. Our leader is here. I quickly hung up the phone and sighed at the computer screen. A guy like Sun Jun, lots of girls are rushing to marry him. What are they looking for? To be honest, he doesn't earn much for a monthly salary of 3,000 yuan. He got married without washing his feet. He forced me to have a baby less than a month after marriage. He didn't let me work during the pregnancy preparation period. Not only did I have no one to take care of the baby, but I also had to prepare meals for my parents-in-law every morning and evening. After I gave birth to a daughter, the whole family looked down on me. I can't lay eggs. A hen hasn't even finished her confinement. But Sun Jun is pressuring me to have another child. All these things make me feel anxious just thinking about it. If it weren't for my desperate situation in my previous life, I would never marry such a person. I also don't know whether Zhao Xiaoming will fall in love with this good man who can give her a son and a daughter. Ji Shuang. Long time no see. Why do you look so haggard? I have been working all night for 3 consecutive nights. I was ordering food in a fast food restaurant with huge dark circles under my eyes when I saw Zhao Xiaoming walking towards me arrogantly. Behind her was the man who tortured me all my life in my previous life. Sun Jun. It seems that they have fallen in love with each other. To be honest, Zhao Xiaoming is a beautiful girl. When she smiles, her eyes are curved and she has dimples. She is very sweet. Because of this look, people always feel particularly sorry for her. It is expected that Sun Jun would like her, especially against a sloppy appearance like me. Sun Jun's eyes brightened when he looked at Zhao Xiaoming. This is my former colleague Ji Shuang. My boyfriend Sun Jun. Zhao Xiaoming put her arms around Sun Jun's arm and said coquettishly, with a proud tone in her voice. I looked at Sun Jun, who was dressed up carefully, and put my arms around Zhao Xiaoming in return. Smiling with my teeth showing I looked so worthless, rubbed my eyes. I was blind, so blind, but I was seen like this in Zhao Xiaoming's eyes because of the loneliness of losing Sun Jun. Sun Jun, please buy us a cup of coffee. I will chat with Shuang for a while. Zhao Xiaoming pushed Sun Jun, and Sun Jun frowned, but it was fleeting. If he and I had not been husband and wife for decades and knew what kind of person he was, maybe I would not have discovered that Sun Jun was so stingy. Because I paid 50 cents more for the vegetables, he could scold me for the whole night. In order to lock Zhao Xiaoming in, Sun Jun had to spend dozens of yuan to buy a drink that he would never drink. Looking at Zhao Xiaoming's sparkling eyes, Sun Jun hesitated for a while, but still smiled and left the fast food restaurant. How are you doing recently? Are you still screwing screws in the workshop? Look at your dark circles. Is the work in the factory heavy? Can I pay you a few hundred more? Zhao Xiaoming took out a tissue from her bag, wiped the non-existent dust on the chair, and sat down leisurely, holding her face with her hands painted with red nail polish, looking innocent. In her previous life, my husband must have been very good to her. They are dozens of years old in their 2 lives, so it wouldn't seem out of place for her to act like a little girl. It's okay. The same as always. I pinched the menu in my hand and said perfunctorily, but Zhao Xiaoming acted as if she didn't see it. She kept telling me how well she was doing after she met Sun Jun. I lowered my eyes, but finally decided to say a few more words to her. Zhao Xiaoming, why did you have to choose him? You know, him and I, Ji Shuang, you cheated me in your last life. Isn't it right for me to get it back in this life? You have both a son and a daughter, but you want me to be alone and helpless. How can you be so cruel? Zhao Xiaoming's eyes widened, and she looked at me and interrupted my microphone, as if I continued, I would do something unforgivable to him. But in the last life, the couple decided to be dinks, and it wasn't me who forced them. Forget it, it has nothing to do with me, and we won't be in touch in the future. Don't think about snatching Sun Jun away and my happiness. I'm telling you, I won't let you succeed. Understand? Respect, bless, and lock it up. When the project was over, Manager Wang called me into his office. The difference from my previous life was that I was not going to work in the factory office, but was transferred to the head office. Shuang, you are really lucky. President Zhang is very satisfied with this cooperation project and recommended it to the president of the head office. You have been promoted all of a sudden. I smiled shyly. I am indeed lucky. Not only did I meet President Zhang, but I was also able to escape from the torture of the Sun family and be reborn after death. How can I not be lucky? Thank you for the manager's cultivation. I will definitely continue to work hard. When I finished handing over the work in my hands and returned to the factory dormitory, I heard a group of sisters calling me. Shuang, you came at the right time. Do you know that Zhao Xiaoming is married? Zhao Xiaoming doesn't know. When did she get married? Look at the circle of friends he just posted today. Thank you for meeting me. You will be happy for the rest of your life. In the photo, Zhao Xiaoming rested her head on Sun Jun's shoulder, holding the marriage certificate in her hand, smiling sweetly. But I know this will be the last time I see him. Such a happy smile. The fish has been hooked. Who will give it bait again? Will you go to Zhao Xiaoming's wedding? Of course I have to go. I want to witness her happiness, of course to witness my own happiness, to celebrate that I don't have to fall into the abyss in this life, to celebrate that I have finally gotten what I have suffered in this life. The wedding of Zhao Xiaoming and Sun Jun was scheduled in a farmyard. No top. It was a dream wedding prepared by her husband for her. No dazzling pigeon egg diamond ring. No flowers. No balloons. Only the old woman who surrounded him as soon as he got out of the car and beat him with branches. What are you doing? Why are you hitting me? Zhao Xiaoming pushed away the auntie who was closest to him. His face twisted with anger. Where was the happiness of the newlyweds? Xiaoming, how could you push the third aunt? You were so ignorant. Sun Jun was watching with a smile outside the crowd. A group of people surrounded and beat Zhao Xiaoming until he fought back. Then he changed his face and came up. Sun Jun, can't you see? They beat me. I am happily getting married today. Why should I be beaten by them? It's everyone's blessing. It's a good thing to help you get rid of your bad luck. Stop that nonsense. Why do good things only hit women and not men? Don't men have to get rid of bad luck? It's obviously a show of power to the new daughter-in-law. Why do you have to say it so high-soundingly? I don't care if you ask them to apologize to me. Otherwise I won't get married. I'm going back to my parents' home today. Zhao Xiaoming has never suffered such grievances. In her previous life, she was good-looking and married well. She was protected and coaxed by her husband all her life. Not to mention watching people beat her in front of her. She was tripped by the leg of the table and had to change it quickly. How could the owner of the new table let him suffer such grievances? But in this life, he insisted on marrying Sun Jun, a man who is good for nothing outside except being domineering in front of his wife and children. Zhao Xiaoming, don't get too greedy. You said how much money our family gave you for the wedding. Holding a wedding is just according to our customs. Blessings and blessings. How can you say such things? Sun Jun pointed at Zhao Xiaoming with red eyes and said. Zhao Xiaoming looked at the wedding. Sun Jun's face changed suddenly, and he got back into the wedding car in a huff. When the old women who beat people saw this, they looked at each other and blamed each other. It was Sun Jun's father who came over and pulled Sun Jun and said a few words. Sun Jun reluctantly followed them into the wedding car. I didn't know what the two said in the car. I was so hungry that I saw the two people get out of the car awkwardly. The wedding was held as usual, but the bride and groom were not very happy. Oh, if they were not happy, I would be very happy. One was the murderer who killed me in the previous life, and the other was the scum who tortured me in the previous life. Two swords joined together, just spend 200. This scene is so rare. If my aunt hadn't called again, I would have been happier. Ji Shuang. How can you be so heartless? A good man can be snatched away by someone else. I asked you to meet her earlier. Go and meet her earlier. Now it's okay. She's married. This network will belong to her in the future. What do you say? What? You are not good at anything. Even the duck in your mouth can fly away. You deserve not to get married. Let us bless the newlyweds. The host's words floated to the other side of the phone. I was careless and interrupted his chattering. Who is talking? What are you doing? My aunt's loud voice came out again. I am attending a wedding. You know this person too. Sun Jun. Then, no matter what my aunt wanted to say, I hung up the phone and turned off the phone. If it weren't for such a rampant relative, I wouldn't ask for being deceived into getting married in my previous life. I was still not thoughtful enough and should have changed my mobile number earlier. I sipped the orange juice and thought, it will soon be time for the bride and groom to toast. Zhao Xiaoming came to our table with a red wine glass in her hand and stared at me with the pride of a winner in her eyes. Why are you in such a hurry? I won't compete with you for the prize. Congratulations. Congratulations. I wish you a happy marriage, a son soon, 2 in 3 years and 3 in 5 years. I smiled sincerely, picked up the orange juice, and drank it first. Cheers. Zhao Xiaoming was stunned for a moment when she saw my expression, and then she drank up the red wine in her hand. Sun Jun next to her was grinning and kept thanking us for our blessings. If having many children and grandchildren is a blessing, then having many children and grandchildren who are unfilial is a curse. I don't know if my 2 rebellious sons and daughters in the previous life will continue to be reborn in the Sun family. After I went to the head office, I didn't slack off for a moment. I learned English and took various qualifications. I was so busy that I had no time to take care of Zhao Xiaoming and my family. After living a new life, I clearly realized that I was not my parents' daughter at all, but their daughter-in-law who was raised for their husband, who I didn't know who. They didn't care whether I had achievements or prospects. They just disciplined me according to secular dogma, telling me that I should be lively and diligent. Otherwise my in-laws would not like me. I should study hard so that I could find a good in-law family and sell at a good price. I should be well-behaved and gentle, obedient and sensible. But they didn't tell me to be happy, so I went to school. After marrying Sun Jun, I became more and more numb after failing to turn to anyone for help again and again. I didn't understand what self was. I was a woman and I shouldn't have a self. I had no say in the Sun family. My children had seen the attitude of my in-laws towards me since they were young, and they learned how to disrespect me. I had no right to discipline them, but they blamed me for all their bad habits. It was all my fault. I wanted to defend myself, but I found that I didn't know how to do it. I lived in a daze, doing my duty to be a good woman. I was a good daughter, a good daughter-in-law, a good wife, and a good mother, but I was not a good myself. At this moment, I even thanked Zhao Xiaoming, thank her for dragging me down when she collapsed and went crazy, and successfully killing me and the insensitive Ji Shuangshuang. I, who have the memories of 2 lives, have never been so relaxed. I discovered that it wasn't only men and women cared for by men who could live well. As long as you can grasp, I am a person who seizes opportunities to make money and work. When I have the ability, I can get rid of my second sex and obtain human rights as a person. How fortunate I am. After dying once, I finally gained myself. When I broke free from all the invisible ropes that bound me, I didn't even hate those who treated me badly, Zhao Xiaoming, Sun Jun, my aunt, my mother-in-law, or anyone else. It doesn't matter. It's not forgiveness, it's just that it doesn't matter. At the age of 32, I was transferred to the overseas port of the head office, responsible for overseas operation projects. In the same group with me was Zhang Lei, Zhao Xiaoming's husband in the previous life, the good man who took good care of his wife. The polishing over the past few years has made me more confident and calm, and made my 5 points of appearance bloom 7 points of brilliance. At a dinner party after the end of a project, Zhang Lei, under the blessing of alcohol, confessed to me in front of many colleagues, Shuangshuang, can you be my girlfriend? I promise that I will treat you very, very well, wholeheartedly, and will never change. He was wearing a well-tailored suit, and was sprinkled with perfume that marked the scent of a mature man. His deep eyes were filled with tenderness, and the red rose in his hand was particularly dazzling. If it were me in the previous life, I would definitely blush and my heart would beat fast, and I would agree to him without hesitation. What's wrong with a man with such outstanding looks, abilities, and personality being happy with himself? But I'm not that Ji Shuangshuang, whose mind is full of taking care of her husband and raising children. Thank you for your love, and I sincerely hope that you can meet a soul mate who fits in with your soul. I'm not sorry, but that person won't be me. Please, it's cheap to talk about love instead. Shuangshuang, can you please not reject me? Let me try to stand by your side. Zhang Lei's eyes were burning and his voice was a little choked. The colleagues around him helped to cheer together. Yes, Shuangshuang, Zhang Lei is really a good person. It would be a loss if you don't try to date him. We are all watching. Zhang Lei is a really good guy. He is an only child who returned from overseas. He has a high salary and looks good. If I were not a woman, I was determined to pursue her. For a while, people were saying all kinds of things, all of which were just urging me to accept his confession. My wishes were not within their consideration. Shuangshuang and Zhang Lei wanted to say something, but I raised my hand to stop him. Zhang Lei, have you forgotten that the company has regulations that do not allow office romances? Otherwise one of them will be fired. I expected that after I said this, he would calm down, but his words did not calm me down. I know, Shuangshuang, it doesn't matter. As long as you are with me, I can support you. Even if you don't have a job, I will work hard to make money to support you. He vowed to me and didn't see my trembling hands at all. It turned out that he was not unaware of the company's rules that did not allow romance, but he took it for granted that I would give up this hard-earned job because of him, just to be his canary. Why do you think that I would give up the foundation of my life for you? I seemed to suddenly understand why the last he was so good to Zhao Xiaoming in his previous life, but Zhao Xiaoming, who had lived her life again, chose to give up him. In addition to the reason of being a dink, there was also Zhang Wei's gentleness that disregarded the lives of others. This gentleness was like boiling a frog in warm water. It would suffocate people forever after people indulged in it. It was the same torture as Sun Jun. But Shuang, you are not young anymore. Am I not the most suitable partner for you? Zhang Lei asked me persistently. At this moment, the ropes that bound me were concretized on his body. It was obvious that he was attracted by my independence and freedom, but he still tried to conquer me under his command. Is his love really love? I smiled and handed him a glass of ice water and splashed it on his face. Mr. Zhang, you are drunk. It's time to sober up. The farce did not reach the head office. It's just that the relationship between Zhang Lei and I became cold. But what does it matter? He is just a self-righteous man. Soon, as if to prove himself, Zhang Lei became hot and hot with another girl from the same company. The girl was bewitched by his gentleness, left the company and became his good wife. In the tea room, Zhang Lei held a cup of coffee and asked me if I would regret it. I regretted the exquisite gifts he prepared for his girlfriend and the envy he gained by taking his girlfriend to eat all kinds of delicious food. If I had not been willful at the time, all this should have belonged to me. It was a bit of a pity. Zhang Lei's sneer was still on his face. I went on to say it was a pity. The girl obviously had great potential. In time, she would be able to be self-sufficient with everything you gave her. But she backed down because of a moment of confusion. He didn't know what he lost by backing down. What a good girl, but she was still too young. She followed in the footsteps of Zhao Xiaoming. After that, Zhang Lei seemed to be crazy. He contradicted me everywhere, did not complete the work well, and seriously hindered my feat. The management of the head office did not think it was Zhang Lei's fault, but blamed me blindly, just because he was a returnee, had a higher degree than me, and entered the industry earlier than me. Such a low-level mistake should be made by me alone. When I was criticized at another group meeting, I handed in my resignation in public. Everyone thought I lost, but I knew I did the right thing. Joining the head office is a stage for me, and I will not stay in this position forever. This position can no longer provide me with nutrition, and decisively abandoning it is the most correct answer. It's ridiculous that they are still complacent and walked away, but I didn't know that I had reached a higher level. I got an offer from the same industry in a foreign country just the day before I resigned. Over the years, I have never felt satisfied because of a little progress. I am like a sponge, constantly absorbing nutrition and making up for my shortcomings. Since my academic qualifications are not enough, I will take various qualifications, and I have obtained graduate schools abroad. Since my image is not good, I study one makeup after another, and I repeatedly consider the matching of each piece of clothing, how to better play my strengths, have more aura, and be more professional. My spoken English is not good, so I specially signed up for a one-on-one foreign language class to correct one sound at a time. Now I can be said to be reborn. It's not an exaggeration to say that I have changed my bones. Is the process painful? Of course it is painful, but I still remember how I got through my previous life. Sun Jun beat and scolded me when he was unhappy. My in-laws were rude and difficult. I was anxious and powerless because the children I gave birth to with all my effort didn't learn well. I felt helpless to make a living with my palms up. One slap cannot clap. Why did my son hit you? Isn't it because you don't know how to serve him and make him uncomfortable? You have to use anesthesia when giving birth is painful. What gives you the right? We are all women, you have to go through this. What if anesthesia is not good for the child? A daughter who is married off is like water spilled. You can't run to your parents' house when something happens. You are not nice to your brother. What's wrong with being pregnant? Can you be lazy and eat when you are pregnant? I carried water to the fields when I was pregnant with Sun Jun. Lazy guy, what is marital rape? That's your man sleeping with you. What's wrong with you? Why don't you say you can't give birth to a son? Those words that I thought I had forgotten long ago will linger in my ears every time I want to take a break. Those helpless things that I can't control are like whips whipping me over and over again, constantly pushing forward. Compared with these trivial tortures, what's wrong with suffering? A little in studying, is that suffering? It's a reward. Before packing everything and preparing to fly abroad, I saw the bloated Zhao Xiaoming, who stopped me with her children. How did you find me? Ever since my aunt called me at Zhao Xiaoming's wedding, I quickly changed my mobile phone number, not to mention that I had left the workshop dormitory a long time ago, and Zhao Xiaoming didn't contact me when I returned to the workshop dormitory. They said you went to work at the head office, and I went to the head office with my children to find you, and they said you resigned. After asking around, a female colleague who used to take a taxi with you told me that you might live here. Zhao Xiaoming's hair was casually tied into a ponytail, and there were many broken hairs falling between her neck. The wrinkles at the end of her eyes climbed up, and there were many more sun spots on her cheekbones. Her smooth skin was wrinkled by the trivialities of life, and she was beaten by the washing and falling. The slender waist that could be held in one hand did not recover after giving birth and became fat. The sweet and lovely little beauty was finally polished and changed into the Ji Shuangshuang of the previous life. What do you want to talk to me about? When I was looking at Zhao Xiaoming was also looking at me. The look in her eyes when she looked at me became fanatical. She grabbed the two children and stuffed them into my arms. Ji Shuangshuang, I don't want your life anymore. I don't want the children anymore. Give Zhonglei back to me. Give Zhonglei back to me. Those two children look very similar to my two children in the previous life. Even the contempt in their eyes when they look at Zhao Xiaoming, their biological mother, is exactly the same as my two children in the previous life. I don't understand what you are talking about. I dodged and the two children were pushed to the ground by Zhao Xiaoming. The desperate crying rang in my ears in an instant, but Zhao Xiaoming turned a deaf ear to it. Don't pretend. If you hadn't married Zhonglei, how could you have lived so freely and comfortably? You are a factory girl. Didn't you squeeze me out and get married to Zhonglei? How could you dress so well and live in such a good community? Zhao Xiaoming grabbed my arm and said that I had to hand it over no matter what. Zhonglei regretted it. Everything after marrying Sun Jun was not what he wanted. He was just like me in my previous life. He was tortured and lost in the day-to-day life. The life with both sons and daughters that he dreamed of was exchanged for with his flesh and blood. The price was too high. He didn't want it anymore. He naively thought that as long as he returned Zhonglei to him, his suffering would end. But these were two completely different worlds. How could it be transferred because of his will? As a result, Zhao Xiaoming, you are wrong. Zhonglei and I are not together. Everything I have now has nothing to do with men. It's impossible. How could it be possible on your own? I don't believe it. Give Zhonglei back to me. This is your child. This is your life. Take it back. I pulled back my hand that was pinched by Zhao Xiaoming. The security guards nearby surrounded us responsibly and stopped Zhao Xiaoming from doing it again. Fei Pu, please help me call the police and contact her family to pick her up. I have something to do and I'm leaving first. I don't want to have any contact with anyone from my previous life. After leaving the crazy Zhao Xiaoming there, I waved and called a taxi. Before opening the door, I saw Zhao Xiaoming rolling on the ground and throwing a tantrum. She was completely different from the elegant lady she used to be. I sighed and said to her from a distance, Xiaoming, have you ever thought that you can actually live well without relying on anyone? Not relying on your parents, not relying on men, not relying on your children, just live for yourself? I didn't care about him, wondering what else he would say with his lips that were hesitant to speak. I closed the taxi door. My advice was not only for Zhao Xiaoming, but also for Ji Shuangshuang. Her figure overlapped with my previous life. For a moment, I couldn't tell them apart. Tears blurred my eyes and flowed into my mouth. I tasted the tears again, but this time the tears were no longer bitter.